All right. Hello, everybody. Can you hear? All right, everybody. I think we have everything in order. I think that was yeah, we had some technical difficulties there. This time I will not blame Jose for the delay in starting the pod. This time it was on some technological hiccups. I don't know. Something like clicked was working, and everything's on a little bit of a delay. I don't know what's going on. So, I think we're behind. I don't know what happened. See us, hear us. There we go. All right. Finally. Sorry about that, guys. Had some technical difficulties there. That was not Jose's fault. We are not tardy to the party because of Jose Armando, aka Cinco, nor are we tardy to the party because of Andrea Llanes, who is joining us in 3, 2, 1. There she is. No, that was technological difficulty. I don't know what was happening there with StreamYard. StreamYard was giving me a really hard time. Everything was on delay. I had to restart the computer. And yeah, so here we are. The three of us are back together, the terrific trio, once again, as you guys can see, and as you will hear soon, Jose Armando, Andrea Llanes, and myself, Franco Panizo, here on Miami Total Football Radio, the number one Inter Miami focused podcast, providing you all the news, analysis, opinions, inside information, and much, much more. Well, I already wasted a good bit of minutes there trying to figure out the technological difficulties. I see the comment section is up in arms as to our delay, so I will get to the pleasantries very quickly. Jose, how are you? Technological hiccups aside.
Good. For a minute, I thought we were not having a podcast tonight, so I'm happy that we are, and we have solved all of our problems. And at the same time, we gave Andrea a little bit of more time so that she could join us from the beginning. She wouldn't miss anything at all.
There you go, throwing her under the bus. I hope that goes well for you tonight in the home of you guys, because like people wouldn't even have noticed that she was late. But there you go. Andrea, how are you?
I'm good. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad that we all are back together and we can talk about everything that's happening.
It's been a while since the three of us have been on. Usually you guys are taking turns, but finally, I got both of these two with their very, very busy schedules back on. Not only so that they can give us their opinions on Inter Miami, but so that you guys can eat crow and change your tune with regards to Yannick Bright and many other things that you have been wrong about in recent weeks. And listen, the comment section, it's not me saying this. The comment section is saying this. I got to change the background here. 1 second. Full of technological hiccups today. All right. I'm not used to us three being on. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe the system's just not cooperating. But all right, here we go. We've got comments all over the place for both of you. Starting with, we'll start with. All right. Cara says, atone for your sins against Bright. And there's an island emoji in there. So that's for you, Jose.
It's for Jose. I haven't not said anything about
Pablo Golazo. Bright is the truth and the light. Endo. Jose was talking ill about our stud at center defensive midfield. Cara comes in again and says, Andrea, at least today acknowledge how much Bright has been important and improved so far.
And I think we both have said that he's a good player, though.
Did you say he was a good player? I don't know. I mean, even my stepdad last week when I saw my family over the weekend was like he got really heated for no reason, debating against you, even though you weren't there. He just started talking to me about Yannick Bright, and then got really mad, and he's like, oh, he's countering your argument, not my argument. I was just sitting there listening, but.
No, we've been saying that he's a good player. Even if you go back to the press conferences, the way we approach the Yannick Bright topic with Tata Martino is always complimentary to him. It's just that you went a little bit overboard comparing him with Busi. I mean, Busi he's a different level. That was my problem, and will always be my problem. But other
No
than
one,
that, I
no
think he's a
one
good
compared
player.
him to Boosie. No one
You
compared him to
did.
Boosie, and I made that very clear.
You
And I made that
put them
very clear
together in the same sentence, so that's
because they both play in Inter Miami's midfield, or they can play in Inter Miami's midfield.
yeah,
So
but still, that's
anyway, we're not having the same debate we had last
sure.
week.
Yes, that's correct.
I'm just giving you what the comment section says. You guys say I don't share the comments and that I hide
No,
comments or I don't
yeah,
pick
you
certain
only share the
comments.
comments
No,
that
no,
you
no,
want to
no.
go out there.
That's not true.
That we know.
That's not true. I mean, I'll share this one if you want. This is a comment that I haven't shared, and it's from Pythias and says, all right. So, I mean, yeah, I don't share every single comment because otherwise, it's tough to do when trying to host and pick the comments in the comment section and trying to.
You just admitted what we were talking about a few weeks ago.
No.
You
All right. So,
comments. Yes,
well,
go ahead.
well, we've done the pleasantries. We're going to jump right into it because I'm going to even skip the follow us, give us the review. I'm going to skip all that since we already had our difficulties here. So we've got plenty to talk about with regards to Inter Miami here on Miami Total Football Radio, the show. Of course, we're going to talk about tomorrow night's game, Thursday night's matchup against Toronto FC. In the round of 32 of the League's Cup, yes, Inter Miami, we are new advanced, but they will host a fellow MLS team. Not a Liga MX team, sorry. No Pachuca on this one. Toronto FC. So from Tigres to Toronto, it'll happen at Chase Stadium in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Knockout round game, do or die, win or go home. So a little more pressure, but
they're gonna have some trouble selling tickets for tomorrow night.
A little less excitement, right? A little bit more pressure, but a little less excitement. Andrea, I mean, we'll start with you. We'll start with you since you were absent on last week's show. And just your thoughts on Inter Miami playing Toronto FC. I'm very, very looking forward to this take here.
Well, it's a huge disappointment. Really, I checked the tickets and the lowest price was $20. So I think we haven't seen that in the whole season. Like days before that the tickets are $20, we haven't seen that in a long, long time for Inter Miami. And I think that's a testament of the game that's going to happen tomorrow. Not everyone has high expectations to see Toronto again after what they showed here on the first game back after Copa America. That was dreadful, horrible. It was a horrible game. It was. I got depressed because after coming, and I said it here in this podcast, I got depressed because after coming from Copa America, with players, with tactics and everything being better, and going into that Toronto Inter Miami game was horrendous. So people expect that this game. It's a weak game. It's against Toronto. Everyone was excited to see Pachuca. Listen, Pachuca are the champions of the continent. They are the best team in the continent. And I was excited, and people were excited to be able to see a team like that here in Chase Stadium because, listen, Tigres is also a big team in the continent, not just in Central America and CONCACAF, but in the whole continent. And we fans here, we in South Florida didn't get to see Andre Pierre Guignac, Nahuel, Bruneta, and everyone play here. So now you get Toronto, and instead of getting Salomon Rondon and Idrissi, and you get disappointed. So I completely understand.
David Flores, though. David Flores, stop me.
Hold on. Do
I understand?
Do we really think the average, not Inter Miami, but the average football fan in South Florida knows about Pachuca's roster? Like, if you're not Venezuelan, do you really know that Salomon Rondon? What's your diehard soccer?
They have no idea.
I don't think.
Yeah, I think some people would have ideas of a competition. They maybe don't know all the players, but they know.
There would be more buzz if it was a Mexican team because of the MLS versus Liga MX and just a little more international sazon or seasoning, and still, as you will.
I don't think that rivalry is as effective in South Florida as it might be in somewhere else. I don't think people in South Florida try to defend MLS as much as they do in some other areas of the country because, the MLS culture is, and this is not only for fans, but also for a lot of media members, they feel like they have the need to defend MLS over any other league in the world. That's why we see comparisons constantly with Premier League and obviously Liga MX. But the reality is that in South Florida, MLS is so young that people haven't been able to buy into that culture. Did you see Inter Miami? And now, recently with Messi, they really, all they care about is Messi. If Messi's playing, they're going to go and watch the game. But I don't think that rivalry between MLS and Liga MX is as effective here in South Florida, really.
But it would have been more interesting than Inter Miami versus Toronto FC.
Yeah, it'll be at 10% more.
No, I think it would have been more. I think it would have been more just because of Rondon.
Care about Pachuca here. It's just it will be better opposition. I would agree that we will have higher expectations about the match, but I don't think that somebody in Kendall will be like, oh, I can't miss this game because Pachuca is playing here. I just don't. I mean, if it was Atlético Nacional or any other South American team, I would agree with it. But I think Liga MX is not as popular here in South Florida as it is.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I don't think it would only be 10% more.
Somebody in Kendall might be more excited to see Pachuca, especially if they're related to one Rafael Cabrera, because they might want to see Salomon Rondon up close and personal. So that's a joke for Inter Miami's head of PR, who is Venezuelan and a big, staunch Venezuelan national team supporter. Anyway, all right. So Inter Miami versus Toronto FC. Don't expect. I mean, I saw that there were some tickets that were being given away to some season ticket holders. Not to every season ticket holder, but I saw some season ticket holders were apparently being given, free tickets to tomorrow's game. So clearly, they are taking a step back. Taking a step back from the try to make as much money as possible.
But you know what this is? Everything. This is karma because of what they did to Open Cup. And because
what if Miami didn't do this to Open? Let's.
Of course they did.
But this is MLS related because of the Messi impact. MLS didn't want to hand Lionel Messi to the Open Cup to profit from Lionel Messi being part of the tournament, and so that's why they took Inter Miami out of Open Cup, even though. Inter Miami might come out and say, yeah, we wanted to play the tournament. Fine. But, at the end of the day, the reality, the main reason why MLS pulled out of Open Cup, not completely, but you know what I mean, it's because Messi is playing for Inter Miami. That's the only reason. And so now they're not making enough money when it comes to attendance. I don't know what's happening, with TV rights and some other sponsors. But the reality is that the tournament and throughout the country is not good when it comes to attendance. The numbers are terrible everywhere. Even with Mexican teams facing each other. The Tigres Puebla game in Houston the other day, I mean, the attendance was extremely low as well. And that match was played in Houston, where you were supposed... there were plenty of Tigres fans to go to the stadium, or maybe Puebla fans to go to the stadium. They did to watch Inter Miami at some point, Baker Stadium, but still, attendance was not very good.
Well, I mean, we've talked about the Leagues Cup and our thoughts on it, so we won't go back into that in too much detail, but clearly, tomorrow night, if it goes as we expect, away from the field in terms of just the stands and what's happening on the outside of that green rectangle, probably going to be one of the lower turnouts of the year. Very likely.
Yeah.
Very likely.
The game against Puebla was terrible. It was not looking good early on, but they did find a way to fill the stands.
They did find a way. What do you mean they did find a way? What, did they go outside and start handing tickets to anybody that drove down Commercial Boulevard?
Not necessarily that way, but there are ways you can hand out tickets. An hour or so before the game.
Kyla said, I went to the Puebla game for $60 on the app.
It is. I really agree with Jose. I really don't understand how MLS wanted to change this for a U.S. Open Cup because people already got tired of this tournament. They see it for what it is.
Do you really not understand it? You really don't understand
no, but they see it what it really is. I've seen Inter Miami's lousy attendance. Atlanta, 10 people in a 70,000 stadium, man. No, that is more. That does more harm than good for a tournament.
If they were to do, a tournament like Leagues Cup, they really wanted to profit from having Messi play at NRG and having Messi play road games. But I think at the end of the day, maybe a little bit of karma in there. I don't know what it is exactly, but the reality is that as of right now, it seems like moving forward, the best MLS or MLS teams can do is include Leagues Cup in the season ticket holders package. At the end of the
And
day, it might be 2 games, and that's about it. You know?
Endo with a couple of fiery takes there in the comment section. Complimentary tickets to season ticket members, laughing emoji, and $25 laughing emojis. Take that L, Inter Fort Lauderdale, laughing emoji. And then he comes with another one in Spanish. He's doing the Spanglish bilingual ways. Que chinguen a su madre los de Inter Miami. Okay.
Right. People get mad. Like, listen, it's completely agreeable because you're going to see in this game tomorrow, and I think Inter Miami are going to win very easily because Toronto is not good.
Ooh, that sounds like trouble. Trouble.
What?
Every time we predict that Inter Miami is going to win easily.
Well, if Inter Miami lose tomorrow, man, it would have been.
I am not a betting person. No, I'm not a betting person. But I'll say this: anytime, especially you, Andre, I'm sorry. Anytime you guys predict Inter Miami's going to lose or it's going to be a tie, you guys are like so wrong. I'm going to call you guys the pessimistic patties or so. I don't know.
I'm saying they're going to win, so they're going to lose. That's what you're saying.
Right? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yes.
But they should.
Usually, when you guys try to come up with a surprise prediction, usually it just goes really wrong for you. Remember?
No, but this is not a surprise. Like, listen, if Toronto wins tomorrow, people are saying, "Oh, Pachuca lost against Toronto." Man, they lost because of this dumb rule that you go to penalties. They didn't lose a game. They went to this dumb thing that they do with those penalties after each match. So that's why we get Toronto and didn't get Pachuca, right? Because they had that extra point. But well, if Toronto wins tomorrow, it's going to be my fault, and I hope if they win with a David Flores goal, because here in this podcast I'm always going to represent this shirt that I have back here. So
I would say one thing though. I would say one thing about the tickets. I don't know if this is Inter Miami to blame. You know, I think the not
hold on, Jose.
In the season ticket package, I'm not 100% sure that Inter Miami have they do have a say in that.
No, what? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. No.
So you're telling me that Inter Miami with Messi will be the only team in MLS?
No. I saw on Twitter. Now, take it at face value because I haven't done the actual reporting here. But what I saw on Twitter, there was a graphic, and it was a list of teams that included at least one match of the Leagues Cup in their season ticket package, and then teams that did not. And the majority of MLS teams included at least one Leagues Cup game in their season ticket package, whereas Inter Miami was one of the handful of teams that did not. Now, clearly, there goes one of your scarves. It just and you it was the other way, sir. Anyway, so it's definitely a team decision, and clearly we understand why Inter Miami would make that decision. They want to maximize profits. I think it's a team decision. Trying to maximize profits.
Will never ever allow Inter Miami just to hand out tickets for a Leagues Cup game. I mean, can you imagine if the draw was with not Puebla, but if the game for some reason against Tigres was with Messi involved, and it was played here in South Florida, whether it's Hard Rock or Chase, and Inter Miami would include that game in the season ticket package. I mean, it would be great for the fans, but I mean, we know MLS. They want to profit from Messi as much as they can. So they're not going to allow Inter Miami to give anything away related to Messi. I mean, I seriously doubt that Don Garber would be okay with Inter Miami including a single game from Messi in a season ticket package for a tournament that they deemed international.
Like, I agree with Endo with the comment that I was just reading, that fans were priced out, and it's true, because they have all the reasons to be mad when you get a game like this and you get prices like this. And that's when Messi leaves, the team is going to pay. I've been telling Franco this for a couple of months already, and Franco tells me no, they're gonna bring another superstar. But the real ones, like Endo was saying, the ones that were here
The
since
real
day
ones.
one
Wow.
and
Shots
were
fired.
priced out when Messi arrived, are not gonna go back after Messi leaves because they will still be mad. And that's something that the team has to think about, right? And let's see what they do. MLS needs to think about what they're going to do because I think this League's Cup, as we were talking, showed us that people are not really interested. And if people go to matches, are to see Tigres, to see America.
I
Those
don't know. I
are
think maybe
the only
change the
matches.
format. You know,
Yeah, make it interesting. Maybe not all the teams participating. I don't know, but this
or make
this
it a home
moving
and away.
this moving
I don't know.
forward is not a good idea, not for the fans. I don't know how much money they are making because this tournament is on Apple TV and it's included on the deal. But I was watching Mexican TV, a Mexican program the other day, and they were saying that each team gets paid $2 million for a game. So Mexican teams come here. That's why you get Mexican teams like Chivas came here. They lost. They were eliminated, but they don't care. They got played 3 games, so they get $6 million. I don't think they're paying each
So
MLS team $2 million for
All
each
right,
match.
all right. Enough of these.
So,
Enough of the ticket talk. We've talked about this for a while. We know that tomorrow's game is probably going to be not a great tournament. It's going to be a very poor tournament, most likely, right? Like, let's just put a number on it, right? Let's like predictions. Let's throw predictions. Give me a prediction, not announced attendance, because announced attendance will probably say 17,000 in the stands, right? And then the 7,000 ni va a haber 17,000 mosquitoes in around the area. But anyway, all right, 17,000 will be the announced attendance. What do we actually think? And we're not going to ever be able to find this out unless we literally stand there and count one by one heads, which is impossible. So roughly, go ahead, predict how many, or give me a percentage of the stadium that you think will be full tomorrow.
I would say 13.
13%.
I would say
not 13%. 13,000.
8 or 7 to 8,000 people.
Nah.
So what is that? About
less than half.
It'll be less than half. I think it'll be less than half. Now, unless Inter Miami somehow tomorrow just starts, dropping these prices.
Give away tickets. They're going to give away tickets.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Jose, but remember there's lots of stuff to do here. The Dolphins play on Friday, so people don't really care about a match against Toronto.
Yeah, they don't care, but
even though, look, I mean, and hold on, I have to go back. I said we could stop, but I have to go back to nitpick something you said. I also have some things to nitpick about what Andrea said, including misrepresenting things that I've said about Inter Miami post Messi, but we'll save that for later. Jose, how can you say it's not Inter Miami's fault? Inter Miami, yes, Messi's the la vaca de oro, right? Like, he is the cash cow. He is the media darling, right? I get it. It's el más mediático. Okay, all the obvious things. Yeah. But this team still has Luis Suarez. This team still has Sergio Busquets, Jordi Alba. This team still has some star power on there. I mean, Luis Suarez.
They don't sell tickets.
Luis Suarez would sell tickets in other markets, man. Luis Suarez would sell tickets in other markets.
They don't sell tickets.
They don't sell tickets. That's crazy.
How many Luis Suarez jerseys do you see out there?
No, because there's Messi out. Messi wasn't here.
But the
Luis Suarez had been the original number 9 that was signed instead of Gonzalo Higuain back in 2020. I mean, bro, he would sell tickets. He would be the figurehead. But
I think
Messi,
the problem is the problem is that since they've shut down everything and just concentrated on Messi, they don't get those players don't get the proper marketing or get talked about as much because I don't think Inter Miami has. With Messi coming here, I don't think they have a fan base like, for example, LAFC does, that Giroud is going to take people to the stadium every match he plays. But if you take Messi out, Suarez is not taking people here in Fort Lauderdale where they play. He's not taking people to the stadium when Messi is not there.
They might go for a game or two.
Yeah, but he's not consistently taking people. Exactly.
Maybe a Saturday night that there's nothing going on.
Yes.
And Endo is really mad in this comment section. He said, not going back until the Little Midget and the Fantastic Four.
Oh my God. Endo got really mad with the Fantastic Four. No, listen, that's what I was telling Franco. I understand people that have that sentiment because Those were people who invested in this team when they just had Will Trapp, Lee Nguyen, and Roman
Lee
Torres
Lee win. He win.
the first year. So
All right.
once the team became successful, they were priced out.
Back to the question. Hostman said
13,000.
13,000,
which is just over 50%.
I say 7 or 8, less than half.
I would think that if it was genuine and authentic, and what's the word that they use for social media? I can't remember. So it's a word like compared, like it's close to genuine and authentic. But anyway, if it was straight up tickets bought, I think the number would be closer to Andrea. I think the number will be closer to where Jose is, because they're going to do some crazy last minute sales tomorrow, or last minute giveaways, or calling, soccer camps in and around. Hey, we've got these tickets. You want to buy this package? It's $5 and you get 30 tickets. And
right.
So I think there will be a turnout closer to what Jose is saying. Organic was the word I was looking for. Organic. There we go. If it was organic, closer to Andrea's number, but I think with whatever we're going to see in this last ditch attempt to fill the stadium as much as possible, I think we'll get closer to Jose's number. Although, again, announced attendance will probably be, 17,000, 18,000.
They didn't even feel against Monterrey.
Maybe tomorrow they won't even say anything. Maybe tomorrow we won't even have an announced attendance. No existe unannounced attendance tomorrow.
They didn't even sell out against Monterrey. They didn't announce official attendance with Monterrey. I don't expect they do it tomorrow with Toronto.
No, but they did against Puebla. They did.
Against Puebla, but I'm just putting you an example that in a midweek game against Monterrey, their biggest game of the season, that the stadium wasn't full because obviously they priced out people. But now with Toronto, let's see who gets it. Maybe Honduran goes. Maybe some Italians go from South Beach. Who knows? To see Bernardeschi and
that's what I'm saying. Toronto has some stars too, but clearly, again, with
Sean Johnson, who knows? People can go to watch Sean Johnson. He's a World Cup player.
All right. So clearly,
don't hate on my boy Franco, please.
Sticking on the field. Clearly, I mean, those things come into play outside of the field, right? Like, this is an MLS team. They just played. We just saw this game a few weeks ago. No two games are the same. However, Pablo Golasso here in the comment section says Italians come for Bright.
Oh, well, imagine you get. I was talking about Bernardeschi and that, but we get. Yeah, it's true. Yannick Bright. He spoke Italian today in the media availability.
Very nice, very nice. But all right, away from the field, on the field, what should we expect? Is this going to be a walk in the park for Inter Miami? Andrea's already given us her prediction. So,
yes.
Yes.
Jose, what do we expect?
No, I don't think it's going to be an easy game. I would expect them to win this game, that's for sure. But I always think, when you play against the same team in such a short amount of time, usually the team that ends up losing the first game, comes back with a much better performance. So that's what I would expect. Inter Miami won that game, was it July 17th, something like that? They won 3-1. So it wasn't like, they were completely dominant over Toronto. So I don't expect them to win the game 4-0, 5-0. I would expect them to win the game maybe by a 1-goal difference. I would expect Toronto to put up a fight. And again, it is an elimination game. So that makes it a little bit different, a little bit of added pressure.
A little more pressure into this game.
Yeah, a little bit. I agree with that. A little bit more pressure. But unless John Herman used his tactics of flying a drone to spy on Inter Miami's training today, I don't think Toronto is winning tomorrow. So
Andrea always sharpening the knives. I love it. Muy bien, Alquicita. Muy bien. Hey, calling it like you see it, man. Hey, these are things that have happened. We did not make this up.
But I think I agree with you guys that it's going to be different because it's an elimination game. But I don't know how different, because Toronto made changes on the second half and they were a little bit better, score a goal. But I don't think, from what I saw and what I saw them playing against Pachuca. I don't think they have enough. Even if Tata Martino decides to rotate and bring in some players that we don't expect, or brings an alternative lineup or an alternative formation, I don't think Toronto has enough to get past Inter Miami.
The people in the comment section are furious, man. I think this is the first time I've seen a comment from Alec Cummings. Maybe I'm wrong. It's been over a year actually. Our 1 year anniversary was the beginning of August last year when we started doing video pods. So we just hit our 1 year anniversary of video pods. But what are we, 4 or 5 seasons in now of podcasting overall? But Alec Dominguez, if I'm not mistaken, this is his first contribution to the comment section. He says maybe the front office should take a quick trip to Sunrise to see how a front office is run and how to value your fans and season ticket holders. Complete night and day between the two. Clearly, I imagine he's talking about a team that you guys hate talking about for some reason. You guys, I'm going to have to share this with the people, with the public. While the Florida Panthers were making their run to the NHL championship, these two were pretending like they didn't exist. They're like, what? Who? What? Panthers? What? We don't watch that sport. I don't know.
I don't like hockey. I don't know anything about hockey.
The Panthers that I know of, they play in the NPSL in Naples, I think. Those are the real Panthers.
What about the Golden Panthers that play in FIU, which now
FIU,
is
that's how I was going to say. The People Stadium. Miami FC is playing on People Stadium, man, Mr. 305. Miami FC for the win.
So on the field, right? So Inter Miami and Toronto FC played recently. How much does the familiarity come into play? Little, a lot, something in between, Jose?
No, I think it's more related to being an elimination game. I think that's the turning point. You know, there are some lessons to be learned as well from the first game. So it does have a little bit of an impact.
That's where I think we need to go with this, right? That's where I was trying to go with this. Inter Miami played Toronto FC, like you said, on July 17th at Chase Stadium. Inter Miami won that game 3-1. Diego Gomez and Federico Redondo were the goal scorers. Fede Redondo with 2 on that day. Toronto FC is going to make adjustments, right? You have to imagine they're not going to come out with the same game plan and try to do the same thing that they tried to do that day, because it clearly didn't work for them. They're going to try to make adjustments. Inter Miami, same game plan, right? We expect the same thing from Inter Miami. The 4-3-3, right? No surprises. Or do we expect something different? Do we expect a tweak here? Because, we know that Luis Suarez didn't play in the match against Tigres. Right? He didn't even dress. He didn't go. Game was, pretty meaningless overall. So makes sense to rest him given his knees. But you expect him to back in the starting lineup. The rest of the team, what do we think? All right, we'll start with goal. Because CJ Dos Santos got to start again against Tigres. Is it Drake Callender time?
Wait, what?
No, CJ Dos Santos got to start against Puebla.
Oh, I got to put this Puebla. Sorry.
Yes. And Drake Callender
against Tigres.
I think we can see CJ Dos Santos tomorrow too.
What?
No, Drake Callender. It's Drake Callender. If Drake Callender started against Tigres, he's starting against, I guess, Toronto.
I don't think we see again CJ Dos Santos.
Toronto is worse than Puebla.
No change. Yes. Okay, well, Andrea thinks
Toronto is worse than Puebla. Jose Franco.
But it's a knockout game, so I don't see that. I don't.
Yeah, but he can change him for penalties. So
no. No, I don't think you take any chances with the goalkeeper. You don't want to run into trouble. So no,
so I would straight Callender and goal.
Callender. I would expect, but fair game. CJ Dos Santos starts. We're gonna hear about it in the next week.
She's a genius. She predicted it correct. Well, Andrea's prediction, so it's the opposite. All right. So
yeah, Drake is going to start.
So Jensen will get the start probably.
Drake
Taylor is going to be the starting
center back. Back 4. Who do we got?
Same.
I think we can see Busquets back, or
I think Toto is back. Toto
is back, but I don't know, you guys. I would have preferred to see Busquets with David Martinez than Toto Avilés with David Martinez.
No way. No, if Busi plays as center back in Toronto,
you already got Diego Gomez and Federico Redondo back, so.
No, again, for a game, if that's what you think, it could happen. But I personally would go with Chelo, Toto, Martinez, and
Jordi.
Yeah.
Okay. So I try to play the game of what will Tata Martino do, because if we say what we will do, it's different than what Tata will do.
Yeah.
So I like to stick to the prediction of what we think Tata is going to do. Again, not what we prefer, but what we think Tata is going to do. Trying to pick his brain. I agree with Jose. I think that's your back four, right? It's pretty straightforward. Those are your first choice options at all of those positions when everybody is healthy. Now the midfield is where it gets good, and this is where the comment section is going to have some fun, especially with you two, because now decisions have to be made. Sergio Busquets.
Me, why?
Sergio Busquets goes
because
back.
He wants to bench Boosie and
no. Stop misrepresenting. I love that you guys like to misrepresent. This is fake news from the two of you. Misrepresenting what I said. All right. If Sergio Busquets does not play at center back, because of the back four we predicted, and he goes into his number 6 role in the 4-3-3, o en la posición 5, si lo quieres hacer en español, who are your two midfielders? Who are your two interiores?
Diego Gómez and Federico Redondo.
Yes.
Diego Gómez is back from Olympic duty, so he could start. Andrea's predicting him and Federico Redondo. Jose, same question for you, and you already said yes.
I think that will be what Tata would go with if Diego Gómez is 100%. You know, he played quite a few games in the last few weeks, so he might be a little bit tired, and he might use them in the second half. But if he's 100%, Diego Gómez starts, no doubt. But if it's
that's not the question. I'm asking the midfield.
I would say Mati Rojas will start over Diego Gómez.
So give me your midfield 3.
Boosie, Redondo, and Matias.
Okay, so Yannick Bright gets benched for this game.
Yes.
Okay.
And if they're winning the game, he's a perfect, second half sub.
Okay.
So who is going to play? Who do you think is playing the 3 on the cup?
Gressel, Suarez, and Taylor.
It's interesting because you could put Diego Gómez up on the wing. You could play him up there.
Mm-hmm.
He's played there before.
Replace who?
Robert Taylor.
Gressel y 10 más.
No. Robert. He would take Robert Taylor's place. I mean, for me, Diego Gómez could go up there. Then it's the midfield. Do you put Matias Rojas or do you put Yannick Bright? Yannick Bright played very well, man. Very well. And we don't have to have the same discussion we did last week. I mean, Andrea says she hasn't really chimed in on the Yannick Bright discussion. So, curious to hear her thoughts, but I imagine it's more of along the lines.
I would use the same starting lineup that they use against Puebla. If Suarez is available, I would play Yannick Bright in midfield. I would play Busquets as a center back with
That's
David
what you would
Martinez.
do, but what is Tata going to do? We're playing the game
because
of what
it's
Tata
the same level of opponent. It's the same level of opponent. And listen, your center back, Christoph and Toto Avilés, have been very bad. Very bad. And you can really see the difference when Busquets plays as a center back with bringing in Toto Avilés and Sergi Christoph. You can see the difference with Inter Miami. They lose a lot. And that's why they lost against Tigres, because you have two center backs that are not 100%, in my opinion, 100% like aclimatados to this league. So that's why they always make mistakes, Toto Avilés and Sergi Christoph. So I think I could see it that way, that Tata sees this game as the game in Puebla. Toronto, for me, is worse than Puebla. And he could use Sergio Busquets with David Martinez. I really like them together in that game against Puebla, and Yannick Bright could come in the middle. And now with Diego Gómez and Redondo available, you get Matias Rojas. You have a lot of options.
Boosie is trouble as a center back, against quality players. And if Bernardeschi or Insigne are having a good night, anytime they get a
I get that. The lineup against the Toronto, Busquets played as a center back.
But they didn't have a good game. So that's what I'm saying. If they have a good game, a better game than what they did 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, but Busquets was there with Toto Avilés, not with David Martinez, who is much better.
Who was Boosie a center back against Cincy? He was a center back.
I miss this dynamic. I miss the three of us being on here. It's fun to see you guys go at it. It's fun to join in on Tank721 agrees with Andreita. Says, I agree, Toto can't handle the pressure. I mean, Toto's a young player, but he has shown to be a little hot-headed at times.
Like if we talk about that, you have said here about David Ruiz and about the making mistakes, but Toto Aviles has been making mistakes since he got here, man. 100%. And we always talk about the players. We have criticized Diego Gomez when he got here. But Toto Aviles for me doesn't get that same heat, and he hasn't performed. He hasn't. For me, he hasn't shown an
tarjeta roja. This is una tarjeta, but this is the only thing I can find that was close to me. Andrea, tarjeta roja.
That's why Nicolas Freire got injured and
you are not doing this. You are not doing this. You are not. You get a tarjeta roja, even though it's not a tarjeta. I don't know what this is. I don't know why I have this here on the table, but you get a tarjeta roja or a roja red net because I cannot believe you are defending David Ruiz yet again.
No, I'm not defending. I'm saying we have to criticize everyone.
I used to call for the OGs here, for the OG listeners and the OG people watching. I used to call Steve El Primo Brenner Phil Neville's lawyer. Andrea, you are David Ruiz's lawyer because you just made a comparison between Toto Aviles and David Ruiz, and I don't even think it's close. Look, I'm not saying Toto Aviles hasn't had his mistakes and his issues and his errors, but he is contributed more as a starter, more positive games than David Ruiz, more positive games. And he has a brighter upside, much brighter upside. Now, he's got to keep that cool. He's got to make better decisions, not be so rash.
He has a lot of chances. And for me, still, personally, as I tell you, I would prefer Busquets with David Martinez than David Martinez with Toto Aviles or Cristo. 100%.
Okay. So I think the midfield, I think Yannick Bright gets benched, right? I agree with Jose that I think that's what Tata does. Whether I agree with that or not, I think that's what Tata does. It'll be Busi. It'll be Redondo. Trying to think it. I'm not convinced that Tata's super high on Robert Taylor. I'm still not convinced of that. So I could see Diego Gomez starting up on the wing and Matias Rojas starting in the midfield. But I'll go with Jose. I'll say Diego Gomez in the midfield. On the wings, Gressel, Taylor. Up top, Luis Suarez, who is available again. We do have some clips here from Tata talking about the Toronto game. But I don't know. With the technological hiccups that we had, I'm worried that if I press a button and I share it, that things are going to go to shit. So rather than do
20
that.
minutes left. So
well, technically, we have 30 minutes left because the first 10 didn't count. They were just, the show was on, but we weren't running. But yes, all right. So Inter Miami, we expect more of the same. Same game plan, much of the same lineup.
By the way, I wanted to say something about Yannick Bright. Because this morning he said something that was rather interesting to me. And he did mention that he did play more minutes and more games because Benja and Diego Gomez were not available. He did acknowledge that. So it could be that Tata, maybe gave him. He didn't say he also said that he hasn't been able to talk to Tata, but I guess he gets the idea that he's getting more minutes because there were players that were not available.
I hope you're reading the comments as I'm running through them, and these are comments one by one, one after the other, one after the other. All right, one after the other. I wish the listeners, who people who listen to the pod and don't watch it live or don't watch it on YouTube, there's a lot of venom being spewed David Ruiz's way. And I think it's mostly now in part because of you guys. Because you guys just keep defending him so much in a moment where you should not be defending him because there's no way to defend him.
It's not a defense. I'm just saying we have to criticize everyone. Toto Aviles has missed a lot against Monterrey, against everything, and he doesn't get the same heat as David Ruiz. Skrilla
says, and we won't harp on this, but I do want to hear Andrea's thoughts. Skrilla says Bright starting because they need him in the midfield. Skrilla, I am all for Yannick Bright continuing to start because I think he merits it based on his play, his level of play, su rendimiento. However, I just don't see where he fits in that midfield three if Busquets is the 6. I just don't see how Tata Martino fits him there because clearly he likes the two midfielders ahead of Busquets to be runners, to get stuck in, or to be a little more creative. And Yannick Bright, for as good as his defensive work rate is, as good as he can get stuck into a tackle, as great as he is at recovering the ball and starting sequences,
For
even he today admitted he's not the best passer of the ball. He wants to work on that and improve on that. So I just don't see him starting in that midfield. I just don't see it. Doesn't mean I don't think he merits a starting spot, because I absolutely do think he does. And I mean, it would take a lot of tinkering to figure out how to get him in there, which I don't think that will do. But I don't. So that's why I don't think he starts. Andrea, let's hear your thoughts. Let's hear your opinion on Yannick Bright overall to this point in his young career.
After we talked with Yannick Bright today, we were coming back and I was talking with Jose, and I told Jose, I think Yannick Bright, from the players that we have seen come out of Inter Miami, may have moved ahead of. That's what I was going to say, and I told Jose, I think Yannick Bright has been better and has evolved much better than what Benjamin Cremaschi, than what David Ruiz and Lawson Sunderland and whatever other Tyler Hall and whatever other player that we've seen from Inter Miami in that midfield. Better than Cremaschi, better than David. Yannick Bright has showed that he has potential, and that he will benefit if he gets more minutes playing with Busquets, and he's going to benefit more playing with Busquets because he's that style of player. With Cremaschi, you get a player that doesn't know if he wants to be a defensive midfielder or he wants to be an attacking midfielder. David needs to mature a little bit. Obviously, David is younger than Bright, and also is Cremaschi. And the other guys haven't gotten any minute because Tata thinks that they're still green. But Yannick Bright got from the draft, he got from college. That's very difficult for a player to get accustomed to playing professionally after playing in college, especially with the rules in college here that are not professional and are a disgrace. But I think Yannick Bright has shown that he has that potential more than Cremaschi, more than David Ruiz, more than any other player. And he needs to improve. And he has the best teacher because he has one of the best players in that position in history. He talked about that. And so he is a player that is really learning, that you can see it. You can see it, that how much, and I asked him how much he has changed from when he got drafted and he played a game because they didn't have enough people on the roster, then now going to play with Tigres with a team that has Guignac, that has Bruneta, that has Bigon, that has all those stars that play Libertadores, that have made Tigres the big name that it is, and not desentonar. He didn't seem out of place. So I think Yannick Bright will keep getting better and will learn more from Busquets.
Kada says, "Are you listening, Jose? Take notes."
100%. I agree 100%.
And yeah, Jose, I will tell you that Jose agree with me.
I've been saying that since day one.
You're clearly. Andrea's clearly your wife because she's defending you through thick and thin here. Jose, there's no way you're going to sit here a week after.
I'm gonna go back to the press conference after the first start for Yannick Bright, and I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna cut the question that I had for Tata Martino, and you'll see the concept that I have from Yannick Bright from day one. Now, my problem with your argument, I have no doubt that he's a good player, but my problem with your argument is that after 4 games, you want him to start in the middle of the field where Sergio Busquets.
No. I did not say he absolutely should start. But based on his form, based on the level of his play.
It's 4 games. Nobody deserves to start based on 4 games.
Yeah, but Jose, let me tell you, it's 4 games, but those games he has really shown he wasn't scared. Like in some games we talk about Toto Avilés, about David Ruiz and Benjamin Cremaschi because they are young.
4 games? He's played in 14 games in MLS.
But not start. We're talking about him starting when Busquets began playing.
The games that you're talking about, the games that change the way you think about him, are not the first 10 games.
Yeah.
The first 8 games.
You could see the progression
5 or 6 games.
Against Puebla. He was masterful.
He's been starting.
He's not scared.
He has been starting consistently since May 25th. That's more than 2 months. Now, he hasn't started every game. There's been games where he's come off the bench. but he has been starting consistently. He's been a starter more often than not since May 25th.
And you know what? He's very mature with the ball. He, even though he thinks that he needs to get better with his passing,
He's simple.
He's very
but he's not very creative with his passing.
Yeah, of course, because he's a truly defensive midfielder, and you know that what I think he has this advantage over the other players that we've been talking is because he's European, and what is that? Jose to Bright is like LeBron and Skip. No, because let me say, Jose likes Yannick Bright. It's not like Skip that he's LeBron. It's not like that.
It doesn't sound like it to me. Look, we're not going to stick too much on Bright, so we talked about it last week.
But I think Yannick Bright has that advantage of him being European and being once you get to Europe, these players like Cremaschi and David that like to go forward in Europe, you need to decide if you're going to be a defensive midfielder or you're going to be an attacking midfielder. And you don't get to be choosing like, oh, sometimes I score goals, sometimes I don't, because you are a defensive midfielder. You are in that middle of the field and you are a defensive player. I get Yannick Bright gets that.
The issue with Bright,
Italian.
The issue with Bright, it's not a him issue. It's a system conundrum more than it is a Yannick Bright issue. There just isn't a place for him in the way that Tata Martino wants to play if Sergio Busquets is available. If Busquets is available and everybody else is available, like we said last week, he plays the 6 role. He occupies that defensive midfield role. Even though Busquets is not your traditional defensive midfielder, doesn't get stuck in, he's more of a deep-line playmaker than he is a defensive midfielder, but he occupies that spot. That leaves Yannick Bright with only 2 other positions he can occupy, and even though Tata Martino wants to play possession-based, attack-minded, protagonistas, team that takes it to you with the ball, that wants to have the ball, be in possession. He just doesn't fit into that midfield 3 if everyone's healthy and available.
Similar to Campana.
Yeah.
We're going to get to Campana here in a couple of minutes. We're going to get to Campana because he tied the record for most goals in an Inter Miami jersey. We'll get to him in a second. Again, for me, Bright, like you said, I think he's better than most of the homegrown central midfielders. Cremaschi, you could say is probably closer there between Cremaschi and him, although I would take Yannick Bright at this point over Cremaschi, but Inter Miami, take away Tata Martino's decisions, but from a club standpoint, they do a very obvious job of trying to promote Benjamin Cremaschi, right? Like he spoke today. Okay, understood. He just came back from the Olympics.
Why didn't we speak to Diego Gomez, who was the captain of Paraguay?
But an important part. No. But an important part. An important part of the availability that Benjamin Cremaschi had today was the reporters asked the questions, he gave his responses, but at the very end, a member of Inter Miami's staff asked him a question, and of course, it had to do with, you just came from the Olympics, you're homegrown, what does this show for the future homegrowns, and what example does it set, and blah 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 blah, something along those lines. Inter Miami has made no secret and has not been shy about shamelessly promoting Benjamin Cremaschi. Now, does that make that's más mediático, right? That makes him more a media darling, so more attention on him than maybe other players. But that doesn't make him on the field better than other players. He's just talked about more because he's doing more media things. They post him more. They show him more, blah, blah, blah. I think Yannick Bright today is better than Benjamin Cremaschi.
100%.
My opinion. Now, with all the things that come into play here, they're going to try to sell Benjamin Cremaschi. They're going to try to make a pretty penny off of him in the coming years. That influences things to a certain extent. So we'll see what Tata's decisions are in the coming games. If they're both on the bench, who comes in first?
I think it will be easier to sell Yannick Bright to Europe because he's already European. He's not going to be a foreigner over there.
Hey, I think I said something similar, and Post was,
Slow that train down. 4 games. 4 games.
Jose, shut up with your 4 games, man.
There are probably.
Shut up already.
One more game. One more team in MLS that wants Yannick Bright right now.
All right, we're an hour in, although really we're like 50 minutes in. We've talked about the lineup. We all expect Inter Miami to win, correct? Both?
Yeah.
Yes.
But not a walk in the park.
Not for
I
me.
do.
I think it'll be tighter than the last time they played, but I expect Inter Miami to go through. The only way Inter Miami doesn't go through in this game is if they have a horrendous game and one of Bernardeschi or Insignia or both of them have monster nights. Like, that's the only way that I see Toronto winning this game away from home. If one of those two have a monster game and Inter Miami is just subpar, or someone commits one or two players commit horrendous errors, I just don't see Toronto FC winning this game. I think Inter Miami overall, in terms of chemistry, in terms of confidence, funcionamiento.
You know what can happen is that they don't have the same motivation as they did with Tigres, because you could see the game with Tigres, they wanted to show that they could compete after what happened in Monterrey, obviously, but they wanted to show that. I don't think we're going to see that tomorrow from Inter Miami, because it's an MLS rival and one that they just beat. So maybe Toronto scores a couple of goals, but I think in the end, Inter Miami is going to win this game, and they'll go through.
I think they go through.
It would be like a 5-2 or 6-2, something like that.
Yeah, I can see a 5-2.
Wow.
Could be a 2-0 tomorrow, a 2-1.
A 3-1, 5. I think Toronto scores a goal because obviously they have good shooting. They shoot very well.
This is where, if you're superstitious, you might want to knock on wood. By and large, in the games, the Inter Miami has played Toronto FC. Correct me if I'm wrong, but by and large, since Inter Miami has played Toronto FC has had Bernardeschi and Insignia. When have one of those two players had a tremendous night? I don't recall a tremendous night.
I think one game
they had their moments on the dribble.
Golazo, yeah.
Pero un golazo, pero like no sirvió, right? Like, they've never had like dominated a game against Inter Miami where they've taken the game by the scruff of the neck and beaten Inter Miami because one of those two, if not those two stars, led the way. Like, that hasn't happened yet. That bodes well for Inter Miami because clearly they have a blueprint, a formula that's worked against them, or maybe those two Italians or one of those two Italians is overdue for one. So we'll see how it goes. I predict Inter Miami to win by one goal, 2-1. Could also see a 2-0, but I think it'll be a tighter game. Still think Inter Miami goes through to the round of 16. All right. We'll leave it there for the preview. We incorporated some Tigres there. We'll maybe wrap up with Tigres before we finish the pod. Let's talk about Leo Campana, because against Tigres, sprinkling it back in here, he scored the lone goal for Inter Miami. And that tied him with Gonzalo Higuain for the most goals in Inter Miami's short history. He talked about it today in a press conference. I'm very nervous to press play. I'm going to try. Hopefully this doesn't get botched. If it does,
back in 2 weeks, guys.
Don't blame me for the technological difficulties. Let's see if we can get to hear what Leo Campana said today about tying the record.
Siempre es un honor, obviamente, dejar tu marca en el club. Sé que es algo importante. Obviamente me hace muy feliz porque dejo el nombre siempre de mi país en alto y de mi familia, así que eso para mí es lo más importante. Pero
work for me. Did it work for you guys? It didn't work. I clicked the button and
we are back at least. We are back. We were listening to Campana, but
you were listening to it?
Yeah,
on mine,
we
it wasn't showing
away
anything.
From us.
It was okay. If you guys can see it, then I'll play it again. Sorry, on my end, I couldn't see anything, and I thought you guys were just listening to nothing and seeing dead air and just seeing us sit around. So, all right, I'll play it again. 43 seconds. We'll be right back in 43 seconds.
Siempre es un honor, obviamente, dejar tu marca en el club. Sé que es algo importante. Obviamente me hace muy feliz porque dejo el nombre siempre de mi país en alto y de mi familia, así que eso para mí es lo más importante. Pero también estoy acá también para que el equipo le vaya bien, para quedar campeones. Obviamente el grupal siempre es lo más importante y nada, seguir trabajando, seguir haciendo historia con este club, tanto lo individual como lo grupal. Y esas son mis ambiciones como jugador. Te puedo decir que seguiré estando cuando me necesiten y obviamente esa cifra se puede alargar muchísimo más.
I didn't see any of that. I didn't hear any of that. I hope you guys did, because I don't know what's going on the back end here on StreamYard, but I just couldn't see any of that. So anyway, all right. We'll paraphrase. He said he was happy to tie it. He knows it's important. It's significant. It's a significant milestone. I'm paraphrasing here, even though I didn't see it because I watched it earlier when I was preparing the pod. And he says, of course, that it's still more about the collective, that he wants to continue to try to make history, not only from an individual standpoint, but from a team standpoint with Inter Miami. All right. Very quickly, I'll add this part, and then I'm going to ask you guys the questions. I wish somebody would have asked him about Lionel Messi being right down his neck and breathing down his neck for that record as is. And because if Messi hadn't gotten injured, it's very likely Campana wouldn't have gotten. Like, Messi would have surpassed him. But because of the injury, Messi hasn't gotten there yet. But I think it's inevitable unless Messi just doesn't return to full health consistently in the near future. If he does, I think it's pretty clear that he'll pass Campana at some point. Jose, very quickly, just your overall thoughts. Campana tying the record. He's a goal away from breaking it, but he's joint leading scorer in Inter Miami history. What does that mean to you as an observer of this franchise, as a pundit, as a critic, as a reporter of this franchise? What does it mean that Campana has tied the record?
Well, first off, I think we can all agree that we thought this would happen, a lot earlier, especially after, Luis Suarez left for Copa America and obviously Messi was away. We thought, okay, this is the moment for Campana to shine. And even though Inter Miami had some good results during that stretch, Campana didn't score and he did get to start a lot of the games. So we did expect him to get that goal a little bit earlier. But, I think, overall, I think Campana has been a good addition to the team. It's just a very unfortunate situation for him. Having to play behind Pipita, Suarez. I don't necessarily think he was playing behind Joseph because at the time I thought Campana, and I still think Campana right now is a much better player than Joseph Martinez. But it was a hurdle as well for him. It was because. After all, and this is also something that we were talking about with Andrea as we were on our way down to Miami, he's only 23 years old. We expect so much more from Campana.
Only?
But he's only 23. Yeah, I mean, he's not a young
You were saying Robbie Robinson was young with 25.
But
except Robbie Robinson came out of the college system, whereas Leo Campana's been a full-blown professional for many years now.
But still
and he's been successful. He won silver on the Olympic. He was the goal scorer of that Olympic. So he has his merits on his career.
So
listen, with regards to Inter Miami, let's stick to Inter Miami. What does it mean that he tied that? To me, it means, look, he's been around for a bit. He's been, goal scoring threat, and he's done to his credit, what he has done is accomplish this as a second choice striker by and large. Right? Like he's starting in stretches. He's been the go-to guy at the number 9 position. But by and large, over his spell here, ha sido el suplente. He's been the second option, right? Gonzalo Higuain, Joseph Martinez even though, we didn't agree with that decision by and large. We thought for the most part it should have been Campana starting over Joseph Martinez when Messi first arrived, but that wasn't the case. Not that with Joseph. And now with Luis Suarez, right? So he's been, by and large, a second option. And that he's accomplished it is credit to him. It's also got to take into account and be honest here. It's short history for Inter Miami in terms of their overall, history. So it's not like this number was super unattainable. So credit to Campana for what he's done, for, having the mentality and the consistency when he has played and the production to get to that number. I am still curious as to what his future is here. If we're looking longer term, I'm still curious. Listen. I don't know if this Inter Miami wins MLS Cup this year. I think Luis Suarez retires hands down. If they don't, maybe Suarez comes back. But let's go with the option. Let's go with the option that Suarez is done at the end of this year.
No matter what.
Okay. All right. Let's go with that. Let's go with Suarez not returning next year. Do we really think that Inter Miami would go into a season with Lionel Messi still on the roster and have Campana as his running mate up top? Or would they go into the market to try to find a number 9 that they deem better, whether it's a veteran, younger player, or somewhere in between, do we think Inter Miami would take that route if Suarez is gone in 2025? Jose, I think you're nodding your head yes.
Yeah, I think it all depends if Messi comes back. That's the first step.
Messi's coming back, brother. Stop with this prediction that he's not coming back.
Franco, the same thing you said with the stadium, and the stadium now is until 2026.
We're gonna get there. We're gonna close out there.
If he comes back, I don't see Campana being a regular starter. I would say they need to add more firepower to the attack because Messi's obviously slowing down. And he's going to need some help consistently. And,
So you're saying Campana cannot do it consistently? Is that what you're saying?
I think, I wouldn't trust Campana playing a full season because of the injuries in the past. That would be my concern with him. I think he's
That's a fair point that I didn't bring up. That is a fair point.
I think he's a very good player. But, maybe that's a situation that needs to be looked into by a bigger club. A little bit more experience. I don't know. Something needs to change. He needs to prove that he can compete for an entire season.
But that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking you, if Suarez is gone, what do you think Inter Miami does in the offseason? Do they go and get a number 9, or do you think they would be content with Campana leading the way?
If Messi stays, they go for another superstar as a striker. If Messi leaves, Campana stays. And Campana
I won't say superstar, but I would say they go for player of a higher caliber. I think they would go into the market looking for. I don't think that they think Campana is able to lead the line yet, especially not with Messi. I just don't think so. Obviously, clearly,
Messi.
Without
Messi, I think he can.
On a different team,
he
could, and I think that's where
maybe a different system as well.
Longer term, I think Campana is probably going to end up either with another MLS team or end up, maybe getting sold abroad or loaned somewhere. It's clear to me that they see him as a second option. Clearly. And he's still young, so, he doesn't necessarily need to be an every game starter at this point in his career, but he's getting to that point where he wants to be, especially with, you hear him talk about the Ecuador national team and how much it means to him and how he wants to be there. Well, if he's going to break into that team, he needs to be playing consistently, starting consistently. He hasn't been doing that.
He's a good asset for the team because he's a player that you can put out there in the market and you'll get
I think, for example, talking about Campana could get a contract, go to a Liga MX team and get a contract like Giacomakis did. Campana could get a contract like that. I've always said in this podcast that Campana is one of the few assets in this new era of Inter Miami that they can sell for a profit. Because they don't have a lot. Diego Gomez, okay. If you tell me now, Diego Gomez, Campana, and who else? Right now, that you would get $millions of dollars for a player. They don't have as much. So they have Campana, Diego Gomez, and that's it. So I see Campana if, as Jose is saying, if Messi stays here and is playing in next year, I think Campana may look to leave because he will not start with Lionel Messi playing. He will not start. So I think Inter Miami would be intelligent not to have him as a second striker, but to sell him to get for profit and aprovechar that opportunity, because I can see Campana like going to a Mexican team. I can see Campana starting with Necaxa, with Puebla. For example, if Lucas Cavallini plays as a starter in Liga MX, I can see Campana playing as a starter in Liga MX also. So I don't think and with MLS, of course, any team in MLS would be happy to have Campana.
Not any.
Yeah, I think a lot. Like if you told me LA Galaxy wouldn't be happy to have Leonardo Campana right now with the team that they're building, they need a number 9.
Tom in the comment section says, I'm not seeing Campana with Miami for next season. Miami will get a new striker. If Suarez leaves, I agree with that. It'll be
especially because Inter Miami is going to get that spot in the Club World Cup. They would need a bigger roster.
You know what I think, man? I'm gonna, of course, as always, just be upfront and honest. I think for Campana, it would probably do him well to go somewhere else. It would probably do him well. Just so he's not the second option. He's the first option. One and two. So he's not in his comfort zone. Yes, he's from Ecuador. He's not from Miami. He's not from South Florida. But his family's here. His girlfriend's here, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
He's very comfortable here.
Yeah.
I think going somewhere else where he has to, push out of that comfort zone, not be surrounded by, everyone that's near to him and dear to him, that will make him grow as a person, as a player. And I think that will help him take that next step that he wants to take, to break into the Ecuador national team more consistently. I think for himself, his career, he probably needs to move somewhere else. But again, we're looking longer term. Talking about the short term, I expect him to take sole possession of that record in the next few weeks. But again, I don't imagine he'll stay there. Imagine when Messi comes back, at some point Messi will surpass him. But it's been a productive spell for him here at Inter Miami. It's been a good stepping stone for whatever's next for him. I just don't think that he's going to be here long term, and I don't think he should be here long term because I don't think that they view him as a long-term solution for that starting number 9 spot.
It would be nice for him to have that record for at least, a short amount of time. I think it'll be cool.
Couple months.
Yeah.
Couple months. All right. Very quickly, Jose asked about another number 9, another striker, another center forward earlier today, and that's Schneider Borgelin, who was not in training today on Wednesday. Jose asked Tata about Borgelin. I have the clip. I'm going to play it. I probably won't be able to see it. It's only 10 seconds long, so this shouldn't be too much of an issue for me here. But let's listen to what Tata said about Borgelin's absence.
Bueno, seguramente el club estará informando mañana acerca de la situación de Borge. Pero bueno, entendemos que es algo bueno para él.
Okay.
All right. So, the club will be announcing something tomorrow, he said, which is Thursday. Reports from Michelle Kaufman, our friend at the Miami Herald, said that he is being transferred to a Danish club. Which one, we don't know. But it sounds like Schneider Borgelin's days are numbered at Inter Miami. He'll be moving on. What do we make of that?
Well, I think he's been gone for a while now. I think I asked you in the press box the other day about Borgelin, and the reason why I asked you is because it's been a while since we've seen him in training, and the last time I think we saw him, he was hurt. He was working on his side, and so I don't know if that was part of the plan, but I think it's good for him. It's like a similar situation where we were just talking about Campana. What's better for him moving forward? Well, for Borgelin, I think it's a similar situation. If Campana is having trouble getting minutes, well, I mean, Borgelin.
They were using him as a winger at some point this year, right? That told you all you need to know about his place in the pecking order. Look, it's good for Schneider Borgelin that he'll be moving on to the Danish league. The report is true, which we confide in our friend Michelle Kaufman. So likely to hear the announcement tomorrow on Thursday. Or maybe Friday, because tomorrow's game day. It's good for him. Not sure what Inter Miami will get from either selling him or whether they're just ripping up the contract and letting him go. Whatever the case is, he's going to be on the greener pastures, somewhere where he'll probably have more of an opportunity to get playing time, which is a plus for the Haitian international. I'm from Margate, so I jokingly would say he's the pride of Margate. But anyway, Schneider Borgelin on his way to Europe, it looks like. And to me, it's another sign. The second part of what I was going to say is another player from the Phil Neville era who clearly was not in Tata's plans, who leaves, right? And that number is dwindling, right? There's not that many players left the Phil Neville. I mean, there's Robert Taylor, Drake Callender, Sergei Kristoff. If you want to count Anna, if you want to count the homegrowns, then you have to throw them in.
No, listen, it's good for Borgelin. That's what. Yeah, they were all
Campana is a Western player.
Campana.
Benja is a Western player.
Well, yes, that's a whole different conversation
Correct. Yes.
that we need to have. That's a problem in US soccer, not only Inter Miami. So we're not gonna solve it today. But I think it's good for Borgelin, and if the team gets something, it's good for them also, because I don't think they were expecting to get something. But for him, as a young player, is it's a stepping stone in his career, and watching other teammates of his from the national team, they do that. They start in a league like Danish leagues, Swedish leagues, and all those leagues that are maybe not top of the peg in Europe, but from there you get noticed, and it's easier to get the opportunity other places in Europe in bigger leagues. So that's a good step for him.
It's a good step forward for him. Good step forward for him. We'll see how he does. We'll keep track on him like we do for all former Inter Miami players, and see how he does throughout his career. So, be something to watch.
You haven't talked about Rodolfo Pizarro a lot
you don't talk about Rodolfo
because he
Pizarro,
hasn't done anything. He hasn't done anything in Greece. He hasn't done anything.
Complain about no Peruvians in Inter Miami.
Yeah, there's no Peruvians in Inter Miami. It has not been. That's the only team. That's the only country from South America.
Here we go again.
It's the only country from South America that has not had a player at Inter Miami.
And Colombia, who is from Colombia?
Emerson Rodriguez, Andres
Reyes.
Emerson.
Oh, yeah, my defender Emerson. Yeah.
Andres Reyes. Come on, Andrea.
Andres Reyes is true.
And
I forget.
All right, very quickly, two more things. We're going long, but that's fine because Miami Total Football Radio after hours because we had technical difficulties. Two more things to talk about. One is last week's news that Jose and I did not touch on, which we have to touch on this week, although in delayed fashion. We mentioned it earlier. Miami Freedom Park, the stadium will not open until 2026 at the earliest.
2026.
It got pushed from 2025, which is what was being touted from the organization until recently when it came to the season ticket renewals. Well, Inter Miami told its season ticket base, hey, they're playing in Fort Lauderdale again next year. It'll be the last year in Fort Lauderdale.
Now, here's my thought about this. It has been so complicated to get a stadium done in Miami. I mean, why is there a need to go out there and say, we're going to play our first game, we're going to start the 2026 season at the new stadium somewhere in 2026, if you haven't been able to even, start building a stadium? Why don't you just wait until we get the ceremony, everybody in the stadium, everybody's on track, and you know exactly physically how long is it going to take for you to build a stadium to announce that?
I think the hype is they want Messi to play. They want Messi to play.
No, but Franco, they were ridiculous because when Stephen Ross wanted to invest in the Dolphin Stadium, he remodeled the stadium and invested $500 million. He did it in a year. He paid it, he put it, and he did it. He got all the permissions. He brought tennis, he paid it, he did it. He said he was going to bring it, he paid it and did it. He brought Formula One, he did build the track, he paid it and did it. And Inter Miami is still having trouble after buying the land, after voting, and after all this drama. And it's trouble made by them because, as Jose is saying, they should have shut up and let the team play. But they've been telling people since last year, we're gonna play we're gonna play next year in Miami. We're gonna play next year in Miami. Get tickets. They were promoting season tickets for this year. People won't let me lie. They were promoting season tickets for this year, this current season, saying that they were going to play in Miami Freedom Park. So that's what I know. The stadium is getting built and everything, but they should just shut up. And as Jose is saying, we'll work it out. And once you start breaking ground to build the stadium, announce something. But they look like, this year, no, next year, no, next year. So you look like a fool.
Curious how that will impact. And again, we're looking longer term, but curious how that will impact the fan base next year. I mean, Messi's going to be here, so you still expect good turnouts, but in the games where he's not available, do you continue to get healthier turnouts? Like this year, when he hasn't been around, there's still been healthy-ish turnouts. Curious to see if that will be the case again next year. Probably, but be interesting to see. They
He's
definitely
still gonna be fine. I mean, if he's here, still
sure, yeah, because the Messi aura will still be there. But I mean, yeah, I think it also there's a dent in the public image if you say it's going to be done on this time and then oops, sorry, we're not
That's
making.
my problem with it. Yeah,
But listen, that's not the Inter Miami way. That's not Jorge Mas's way. Jorge Mas's way is loud, brash, opinionated.
Yeah, but you get examples in the city when you get an owner like Stephen Ross. If he says something, he does it.
That's not the same. Because the stadium's already there. The stadium's already built. It's not the same.
Yeah, but you get something. He built the tennis complex there. He said he was going to build it, and he built it. Why can't Inter Miami be like that? Inter Miami has because Jorge Mas tends to talk too much. He gets excited and he talks without a filter.
I like that.
You will never see Stephen Ross misstepping like that, because this is all because they want to announce something, they want to take advantage, and then they look like fools because every year you are saying no, the next year, and next year doesn't come because you have complications. It's not as easy as it look. El lugar es un basurero, era un basurero, so it's not as easy as it looks. So that's a problem, and it's a shame because Inter Miami could be so much more, and they themselves complicate this too much and make themselves look bad sin necesidad, as we say in Spanish.
Just go out and say we're gonna open 2028, and then late this year you go like, wait a minute, we're way ahead. We did an amazing job. Everybody has been able to help us out. So guess what? We're gonna open 2026.
I think the clear line here is that they're looking to promote the opening of the stadium with the idea that Messi will still be on the roster. That's what they're hoping for. That's their optimistic outlook on it, and that's what they want. Clearly, that's what they're trying to push for. Whether that happens or not, we'll see what the future holds. Listen, selfishly, I don't mind to stay in Chase Stadium because for me, it's a 10, 15-minute drive, whereas for you guys, I know it's a healthy drive.
Perfect if they move, please.
Yes.
Move already.
All right, well, we'll see.
Playing Pitbull Stadium.
We'll see when the stadium gets built.
What's that serious passion, Andrea? Again.
From Pythias in the comments section. We'll see when the stadium gets built. We'll see if 2026 is actually when it happens, because you never know. Might not. Take that. Oh, let's get predictions. Go ahead. Very quickly. Because I got one more thing I want to ask.
2029 to get the stadium.
Andrea.
After the World Cup.
So 2026?
No, after 2020. It's maybe at the end, by 2026.
So 2026.
I
will say I'm with you because they're starting to clear ground. You're seeing the landscape of it. I'll say 2026. Mid to late 2026. I don't think it'll be the first time, but we'll see.
Yeah, I say after the World Cup because they are not a World Cup stadium.
Knowing Inter Miami suerte, there will be some hurricane that hits next summer, and
they have
will be delayed by a year, or it'll be like Hurricane Rodolfo for our beloved Pizarro. No, who knows?
No, anyway. I wouldn't be surprised if new rules and regulations from the Miami-Dade Commission come in place before the start of the building, and they have to renegotiate again for one more year.
Yes.
Huracán Rodolfo. I stick with my
Huracán Rodolfo. I feel bad because Jorge Mas is investing in this project, and but for me, he just right now just take it like you did with Messi. I didn't believe that he was bringing Messi. Many people didn't believe that he was bringing Messi. He shut up and brought him here. So he should do the same with the stadium. Just shut up and build it when you build it, and announce it when you have something.
Honestly, and I don't want to harp too much, and we'll leave it here for this talking point. I think there's reasons besides money and besides season tickets that they try to push the narrative that it's going to get done, whether it's political or whatever's going on behind the scenes. I think there's other reasons why they're like, it's going to be done in 2025. They want to try to get it. They want to try to get things, put pressure on certain people, try to get things over the line, because the longer it drags out, like you said, the more hiccups could arise, the more issues could happen. So I think that's part of the whole song and dance here. But anyway, all right, very quickly, last topic, and we'll wrap up the show. We're not going to go into a whole lot of detail. I just want your quick thoughts. Inter Miami lost to Tigres in that League's Cup group stage finale, which set up the game against Toronto FC. Inter Miami finished in second place of East 3, if I'm not mistaken. They lost 2-1. Campana with the lone goal. and that came in the second half to equalize the match, but they gave up a late winner to the Mexican club. Mexican club didn't start its full strength lineup. Inter Miami was without Messi, was without Luis Suarez, no Diego Gomez, etc., etc. No Busi. So very quickly, what did that game leave you with? Is there some takeaway you can have from that game? Because that said something along the lines of like when you play a team like Tigres, you can kind of get a measuring stick of where you're at, especially when you've been rattling off wins in league play. But this was not full strength Tigres. So how much do you take away from this game, Jose?
No, I mean, I think it was a good showing. I really enjoyed, I think, maybe 20, 25 minutes in the first half. And, I think in the second half, they did have solid 20 minutes as well. With the star power that they were missing, I thought, they wouldn't be able to match with Tigres no matter what the lineup was for Tigres. No, I think they play a good game. It was fun to watch the back and forth. Now, and I was telling this to one of our colleagues this morning before the press conference. I don't think that Inter Miami can keep up that style of play with Messi or Suarez on the field, and that's a little bit unfortunate. But we are not going to complain, of course, about having Messi or watching Messi play. But they really did show that they can compete. So I really liked the game, aside from the result and that there was no pressure coming into that game because they were both qualified, and Inter Miami was secure to host the next round game. I think there were positives. I really liked the team. Yeah.
There were positives. And Inter Miami did have a good performance level, buen rendimiento by and large. Like I thought Campana had a very good second half. The confidence he showed on the ball, the goal, the penalty kick, the way he took it. But I think it takes something away from, how much you can take away from it if you're being honest and like real about it, because it's not Tigres' top team. Just like it's not Inter Miami's top team, it's not Tigres' top team. So, it's a little diluted.
Inter Miami's bench is very limited.
Yeah, I think that's the positive thing that you can take, because Inter Miami, without Busquets being in the starting lineup, without having Messi and Luis Suarez.
But the fact that it's not a do or die game.
Yeah, of course, that changed everything, because even Tigres they were not playing, and even
you're not playing at full throttle.
They were not playing, and even with that, I know everyone is talking about Cristo and Toto Avilés, but Tigres' pressure brought that in, and they scored 2 goals. The first one was the best goal in League Cup until now, the Bruneta's goal. So I think it was good, especially I think it was good for Campana, because he scored that penalty against Nahuel, who is one of the top goalkeepers, and I think that was good for him. I think it was good for other players. We were talking about Bright, and it was good for some other players that maybe after playing in the Champions Cup, where not the starters, not the bench, and not everything, they got destroyed with Monterrey. So it was a meaningless game, but at least they showed something. I don't know if they can keep up that motivation playing again with MLS rivals. That's something we will see tomorrow, but I think they showed some positive things in that match.
I'll say cautiously optimistic, or cautiously hesitantly positive, because yes, there were good sensations. There were good sensations.
In semifinals, I don't think it will be the same.
Correct.
Match.
So I think if you take the game for what it was and everything that we just talked about, what was at stake, what wasn't at stake, teams that were played, there were good sensations to take away from that. But I think the footnote is that if this was a different circumstance in a knockout game with their first choice teams, that's where you really get a barometer or a really good gauge of where these teams stand. All right, we'll leave it there. Says any international spot speculation. I'd like to say very quickly, but you guys don't do quickly. I need just one sentence from you guys. Andrea, you start. One sentence.
Center back. They're bringing a center back, someone that Tata knows very well.
Any names? You want to give a name?
Cesar Montes from Mexico.
Okay. Jose, any speculation there on your part?
No.
No Angel Di Maria? No?
No, Angel Di Maria already
That ship
signed with
sailed.
Benfica.
That ship sailed. Okay, all right. So we'll go with Andrea's remarks with regards to that. I don't have any speculation to add. All right, so we'll leave it there. Look at Jose. His arms are crossed. He's ready to go to bed. He's cranky, Jose. It's nighttime for him. We started late. It's not my fault. It's technology's fault. I'll do better next week. We will return.
After this.
You having pizza? Very good. What kind of pizza?
What kind of cheese pizza?
From where, my friend? From where?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? What did you just buy pizza like from the random guy on the street?
It's a restaurant called Manhattan Chicago Pizza that's near our house.
Is it deep dish or is it New York style? Chicago
New
or
York
New York style?
New York style.
This might be my hottest take on Miami Total Football radio history. I like Chicago style more than New York style pizza. Sorry, guys. Sorry.
There's no styles in the pizza. Pizza is pizza.
Oh my! Don't get started. Franco, cierra el programa because Jose is going to start talking about his nonsense.
It's true.
Chef Boyardee, Jose Armando. Okay, all right. We'll leave it there. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you were watching live, if you're listening to us after the fact, apologies for the technological difficulties across the board. But thank you for tuning in. Give us a follow, a like, a share, a subscribe, a review, thumbs up, whatever you want. You give us a thumbs down if you want, whatever you want. But leave us a review. We will be back next week. Hopefully the three of us. I enjoyed this. It's been a while since the three of us have been able to do it. So hopefully the viewers and listeners enjoyed it as well. It's nice to hear you guys debate, especially about Yannick Bright, and then the banter between all three of us. So we'll try to do it again next week. I'm not going to say which day because we won't make good on that because of our schedules. But we will be back next week for sure.
We don't know when the game will be.
If they win. We don't know when the game will be. Exactly. That's the thing.
If they win. So we'll be back next week at some point. We'll be back. There you go. It's giving a date.
Before a semifinal against Tigres.
We'll be back next week.
Columbus will have a word with me.
It would be round of 16. All right. So for Jose Armando, for Andrea Yanes, I am Franco Panizo. You have been listening to Miami Total Football Radio, the show. And we'll talk to you guys again next week.